Recording.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to be here. My name is Darius Burke, and before I start to talk to you about active leadership, I'd like to ask you a question, and that is, do you know this man?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about him. His name is Rick Escorla. He's a hero and a leader, and he fought in two major initiative battles in his life, one being the Vietnam War, one being the war on terrorism. The first one, he fought on the Battle of La Dram Valley, November 1965. And the second, September 11, 2001, when the South Tower of the World Trade Center was hit. At that time, Mr. Escorla was the head of security for Morgan Stanley firm. He saved over 2,700 lives that day. When the tower was hit, he took immediate action. He took all 2,700 employees at the firm, he grabbed his bullhorn, and he led them out of the tower. He walked with them every step of the way. He gave them guidance, he helped direct them, he motivated them, he provided assistance where he could. He was being an active leader. When he got everyone out, he went back into the tower in order to save as many lives as he could. Unfortunately, he was never to be seen again. But his memory will never be forgotten. And one thing that we should always remember from his story is that active leadership is powerful and it works. Now, many of you may ask, Darius, what exactly is active leadership? And active leadership, in its truest form, is direct involvement. If you were to liken it to being a king, it would be a king who marched on the battlefield with his troops. He mingled with the citizens in his city. He met tradesmen that came. That is being an active leader. You are engaging with your people. You may ask, Darius, but why is this important to us? Well, it's important because from what I've come to find, the Dayton Trails Homeowners Association is suffering from a lack of involvement from its members. Members are not communicating with the board and the organization or with each other as much as that they would like to be doing. They're not taking up on opportunities to contribute or volunteer. And one way we can increase this is through active leadership, to increase their involvement and the communication. And so they might ask Darius, when can we do this? And the answer is, when it comes to the timing of being an active leader, there isn't any one time. There isn't any one specific time to embody active leadership. It should be always, all the time. And it should vary depending on the situation and stage that a team is in. And when I say that, I mean the 5 stages of development that Bruce W. Tuckman introduced in 1965, the same time that Rick was fighting the war in Vietnam. Mr. Tuckman introduced 5 stages, namely being forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjoining. Adjoining was later added in 1977, but they're all part of the same plan. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the stages and some aspects of being an active leader in each. Starting with forming. Forming is a stage where everyone starts to come together. The introductions are being made, members are excited, also maybe a little cautious because they're unsure of the team. But everything is just starting to come, everything's new. And at this time, it's important for an active leader to orient their team. They're going to set boundaries, they're going to set rules, they're going to assign roles to the members. They're going to set goals and objectives for their team to move forward to. They're going to set a direction and lay down the foundation for their team. Of course, during this time period, a leader shouldn't expect too much activity to be happening. As I said, it's mainly in this foundation stage. However, after this, you enter the storming stage. At this time, conflicts start to arise. People are starting to try to mesh, but there's differences, a difference of opinion, different background, different culture, and this leads rise to contentions and frustrations, things that might bring down more on productivity. And it's important that leaders address these issues. They take the thorn out immediately. Active leaders should be mediating any confusion or issues with as much neutrality as possible. They should be reinforcing team values, objectives, and goals to provide light for their team to maneuver through the storm. That way they could get out as safely and effectively as possible. Once they do, they will have entered the norming stage. At this point in time, team members will start to work together, starting to acknowledge one another, see the values and strengths in each other, and team leaders need to expand upon that. They need to encourage their team, they need to help them progress, they need to foster their team. Of course, at this time, it's possible that you could regress back in the storming stage because as conflicts are being solved, new conflicts may arise. But once the storming stage has been broken initially, it's easier to be broken through again. It also should be important to note that team leaders during this time of fostering, new goals and new objectives may need to be set as well. So it's also a period of restructuring. As the team continues to develop, they will enter the performing stage. At this time, teams are performing like a well-oiled machine. They're able to work independently and cooperatively at the same time, should the situation arise. Team leaders should be focusing on enriching their team and helping them reach and surpass their limits. They should be helping them to push as far as they can. And it should be noted that during this time, the performance stage could go on for a lengthened period of time. So it's important that leaders set objectives periodically to help them stay focused, to help them stay on the straight and narrow in order to reach their final goal. At which point in time, a team will adjourn. Now this is a little bittersweet because many team members will be losing connections and relationships they built over a decent period of time. And it's important that leaders acknowledge these emotions. They acknowledge the team members' feelings and they help them in order to find the closure they need. And the way they could do this is they could focus on the accomplishments that they've made and the success that they had in order to keep a feeling of joy and happiness in their team. Team leaders need to tend to their members. Now, throughout this whole, where can leaders execute active leadership? And the answer is that it can happen everywhere. It can happen at home, at the office, in a parking lot, or even at vacation. Leaders can embody active leadership everywhere. And there are two more key points I want to focus on. One is that leaders should empower their team through active leadership, through the knowledge they have and the information they have gathered. They should empower their team members to be the best that they can be. And lastly, team leaders should connect with their team. They should cooperate with them and connect with them just as they connect with each other. That way they will be able to respect the leadership more. They will be more humanistic. And they'll be able to relate more. If a team leader cannot connect with their team, the team will ultimately not be able to succeed. Now I bet that many of you here have at one time and another or are currently a leader. And I promise you that the time will come where you will be a leader again. And if you can empower your team, if you can connect with your team, and if you can embody active leadership, you will achieve everything you wish to accomplish. So my challenge for you is to go out and achieve.